Hi, this is Sir RJ and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be talking for a few minutes here. So, actually, somebody asked me a question: what kind of a manager are you? So it got me thinking. What immediately came into my mind is how am I as a manager slash teacher, and how do my students view me as such? So, just a bit of a story about myself. Before I became a teacher, I worked in the academy as a non-teaching personnel. I was a marketer and I handled a few people. My style was very typical of a manager. I give specific tasks to people. I await for their output. Um, it should work. It's plain and simple. But I totally forgot the part where they are living and breathing human beings as well. And when I entered teaching, I guess I brought it with me, and I realized it doesn't work like that. Students get bored, they get frustrated. You just can't boss them around anymore. And looking back, when I put myself in the position of the students, I can say that I was a horrible teacher or a horrible person because I neglect or invalidate what they feel. I reflected on this and I realized that I just cannot brush aside the human aspect of teaching. They are not robots who only need to produce the results that I need, and they might think that if I cannot produce an output, then I'm a nobody, which is not supposed to be the case. And so, I if I'm going to ask myself again, what kind of a manager am I might as well ask, what kind of a manager do I want to become? I still want my students to produce their outputs, but I need a new solution, and I don't want to risk alienating my students. And so, through seminars, through experience, I tried to humanize my way of dealing with students. And after reading Kuntz Management Theory Jungle, one particular school caught my attention, which is the Human Behavior School. So I was interested at it because I took EDA 221 as my elective, Human Resource Development and Education. But kidding aside, um, I was fascinated with it. It actually resonates with that particular subject primarily because the central idea are inter and intrapersonal relationships with people. I love connecting with people. I have a background in marketing, and as a teacher as well, forming relationships will always be part of the job. So in the human behavior school, the main concern are the employees, in my case, the students, and their account for social needs. Now, this is not done to baby these students, but rather to make them feel welcome, to make them feel acknowledged. And after all of us, we all have this psychological needs, like recognition, respect, achievement, even social contact. And there is actually this experiment called the Hawthorne Studies with the director Elton Mayo. I will not discuss the full extent of the Hawthorne Studies. Uh, I'm guessing you are on the internet, so you may just use the power of the almighty Google and search for it. But in one of these experiments, it was found out that when people are acknowledged, they would be able to produce more even without direct supervision. And this is what I want for my students. I want them to be self-directed learners with intrinsic motivations. I now believe that if people are valued, they will be able to produce more. They will have the initiative to do more than what is asked, and they can be self-sufficient. Um, I want my students to see learning not as something to be slayed, like a monster, you see a monster, you slay it, but rather I want them to see it as a journey. I want them to take learning for what it is. improving oneself and not improving the grades that you have. Scores, they're one thing, but I guess progress is more important. I feel that managing this interpersonal relationships uh, with them is the key to help them realize these things. Now, since motivation is a great tool in learning, it should always be utilized. But how are we going to do that? According to David MacClelland, all of us have three types of motivational needs. Irregardless, take note, I use that new word, irregardless of demography, of culture, of wealth, each of us has a need to achieve, or each of us has a need for achievement, power, and affiliation. We can view this as an extension of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Um, they actually work hand in hand. And to explain this, it's quite simple. For achievement, uh, we all want to achieve something where we are good at. Uh, for power, we want to influence people and hold on to that power to enhance our self-esteem. We can also interpret this power by saying uh, a person who doesn't want to lose. And lastly, for affiliation, we all want to be part of a group, whether it's a peer group or a familial one. And using this as my framework in overseeing the inter and intrapersonal relationship of students, I believe I can maneuver my way into helping them realize their need for achievement, power, and affiliation. Well, in the hopes that they will be more productive and eventually become self-motivated learners once they accept that learning is fun. So just an example of my typical classroom setup. Uh, Before the class starts, I try to put a typical kamustahan. How are you? Yung totoo, kamusta ka na? So I'm trying to set up the physiological and safety needs here. And then during class, we set our objectives, like the goal setting theory of Edwin Locke. However, in Locke's study, he found that people who set specific and difficult goals perform better than those who do not. But in my opinion, in setting goals, we still have to be realistic about these. But the trick here is to create a situation where they can achieve. When you do that, and students will be able to accomplish something, bam, you hit that need for achievement. You set them up so that they will likely feel, or they will have this great feeling when they achieve something. And I let them exercise power by communicating with other students. I let them talk during formative tasks. I encourage people who know things about the topic to take the lead. And naturally, they will exercise their need to be on top because they know more. And they will feel good that they know more. But to balance that, I encourage those people who know less to absorb their exchanges and challenge themselves. I believe exercising power is not only through dominance of others, but also conquering one's maybe insecurities. I remember now knowledge and power in the sociology of knowledge. If I remember correctly, it is a common theme there that knowledge equates to power. Knowledge actually produces power. In this context, gaining knowledge on our topics might fill the students' needs for power. And as for affiliation, in using a collaborative approach, I don't let them choose their peers because it's a great way for writing off somebody. Definitely, someone will get left behind. Maybe in a classroom there are two or more students who do not have friends, so I just group them randomly, and I still, well, in doing that, I will be able to let them exercise the exchange of knowledge and power. It might not be the best solution for affiliation, but at least it will let them feel that need for social contact, and I think it would be enough. It would also probably feel the need for affirmation. Do you agree with me? Students always feel the need to be affirmed. I guess it's not because that they don't know. It's probably because they just need to be affirmed if what they are doing is correct. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say here now is um, you need to manage the setting by creating a winnable scenario and make sure the physiological and safety needs, achievement, power, affiliation needs will be met. Uh, in this way, I believe you can produce a conducive learning environment. Now, another important factor for me to consider would be uh, communication. You have to manage communication. If students and teachers can communicate freely, clearly, without angst, without making the other annoyed, furious, I think it would make the teaching and learning process better. Well, I'm not talking about how one is great in the command of over the language, but rather in truly expressing themselves. There are lots of cases where students just say yes po, opo, but that's not really what they feel. I don't know. They might be scared to talk freely. Maybe they don't want to be bothered more than they should be, but it is clear without communication, how will we be able to form the foundations of deep interpersonal relationships, and everything will just be superficial. In the end, managers need not only technical skills but also human relations skills of the human behavior school. And as for me, as a manager, I guess I am someone who is willing to listen to the needs and wants of people under me. Um, I give them the proper motivation using different techniques while utilizing their need for achievement, power, and affiliation. And I actually also see these students as rough diamonds that need to be polished using a behaviorist approach. And I guess that's what we all need. We need to teach students the value of human relations. We need to relate to each other because I truly believe that's what it means to be human. Tell me your thoughts. Write down on the comments below. Thank you so much for listening to the ramblings of this teacher. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.